Hello and welcome to another episode of Show Boys. My name is Mike, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host Pixel Nick. There, that way. How you doing, Nick?
Good. How are you?
Great. And it is that time of the month. That sounded really weird. But it is our What's Playing episode, so that means we are joined by our other good friend and fellow co-host, Chad. How are you, Chad?
Oh, pretty good, man.
You're looking
busy week.
You're looking a little pixelated down there.
Yeah, I know. My camera is kind of old school, so
all is good.
Old school Mac camera.
We're glad you're here. You got a microphone. That's all you need, you know?
Right. True.
But yeah, so it's our monthly What's Playing video game themed episode. But before we get into that, we have a few, a few things to get off the top of the episode here. Just wanted to remind everyone about our new companion series, The Bad Batch. That is every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Here on YouTube. Also on Facebook, and new starting tonight, probably going to be on our Twitch channel too. So that show is hosted by Nick and his friend Mikey L. They had their first episode, the pre-show show, the hype show last week, and it was pretty fun and entertaining. I tuned in, got to learn a little bit about the Bad Batch. So I'm excited to see how that goes. Full transparency, I haven't watched the first episode of the show yet, though. I know, big shocker.
Floored.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you excited for to cover the first two episodes?
Yeah,
Sunday?
Well, technically tonight, sometime deep in the night, 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. Eastern, there will be the first Friday episode. They had a very special 70-minute kickoff on Tuesday, which was very good. I enjoyed it. It really helped set everything up. I have a good feel for how the show's going to go now. But it looks like we'll have a mega episode on Sunday, unless we squeeze in a special first EP episode before then. But I don't know. Might just do a mega episode.
Right on. Have you seen the premiere of The Bad Batch, Chad?
I have not, unfortunately.
So I've
been pretty busy. I replayed what we're going to be talking about tonight, and then I've been reviewing Returnal for Downright Creepy, which is the new PS5 exclusive. So I'm nice. TV show wise, outside of watching Aliens, because it's kind of like Returnal. As I'm falling asleep, I haven't really been watching anything. So
nice. How is Returnal?
It's really, really, really difficult.
Nice.
But I've been seeing that kind of pop up around people talking about it, reviewing it, things like that.
Yeah, it's very difficult, but it's very addicting, and it's kind of got similar gameplay to Control. Actually, it's very similar to Control now that I think about it. But it is absurdly I'm talking miles ahead of Dark Souls in those games. It's very, very difficult.
Interesting.
When does your review come out?
I have probably 3/4 of it written right now, so it'll probably be out by the end of the weekend.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. Make sure you guys check that out. But the other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit before we started the episode, as you notice, we have upgraded our StreamYard account, so we're able to push out our live stream to more than just our YouTube channel. So, we're streaming to our Facebook channel. So if you follow us on Facebook, you can, head over there to watch the live stream. And we're either going to be streaming to Twitch or theta.tv for our third destination, depending on if I can figure out how to link Theta TV to our StreamYard account. But just wanted to throw that out there. You got options now. It's not just YouTube, even though YouTube's probably the best place to find all of our video content, even audio only content, you can find us and watch us elsewhere. So just wanted to let you guys know that. But yeah, let's start the episode. You mentioned Control, Chad. So that's the game we're talking about tonight. Can you guys hear me? We can hear you.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Just for everyone's awareness, Chad's working through some technical difficulties. For those watching, he might be in and out there down in the bottom between his pixel self, and maybe we'll see him in a bit in the flesh.
Fingers crossed.
We currently can't hear you, Chad, if you're talking.
Yes, we did hear you when you said, "Can you hear me?" but have not heard you since you said, "Can you hear me?" But yeah, so we're going to be talking about Control tonight for our first ever, what we're going to call spoiler cast. Nick and I have dove into specific games before in the past, but whether it was intentional or not, we kind of left those episodes relatively spoiler free, I would say. But that's not what we're doing tonight. We're going all in. We're going to talk about everything there is to know about the game Control, from our thoughts and opinions all the way down to the actual gameplay itself. Now, it would be quite ironic if we aren't able to get Chad's audio worked out as
yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. I was gonna say that's gonna be really awkward because you're the only one that's actually beat the game
right
out of all three of us, so maybe it wouldn't be our first spoiler cast.
Yeah.
Spoilers up to about like a little over halfway.
Yeah.
There we go.
But yeah, Control. Let's, before we get any deeper into the episode, your baseline spoiler-free thoughts on the game first. We'll start with Chad.
Yeah, so I actually played this game relatively well after it came out. Like, I think it came out in like August maybe of 2019. I don't know if that's right.
Correct.
And I think I didn't play it until maybe like the winter time, but everybody kept telling me how amazing it was. And as soon as I got my hands on it, I kind of realized how absolutely amazing it is. So it's a hard recommend for me if you like these kind of games, if you're into single player games, if you're into X-Files or Twin Peaks or any kind of weird, strange TV show. Mm-hmm. I think it's a fantastic game.
Nice. What about you, Nick? What are your initial thoughts on what you've played so far of Control?
It takes me back to many years ago when I was first kind of like exploring gaming. You're just kind of like finding games and playing games and trying to figure out what you like before you fall into your niche. And it definitely reminds me of some of like the mystery kind of games. Reminds me of Myst a little bit. I mean, that's just because my breadth of these type of games is narrow, but I definitely enjoyed it. It's not something I would normally play, but because it does have elements of maybe Uncharted. I like those kinds of games, like the adventure, mystery, puzzles. Like, that's all fun. I mean, overall, I do enjoy the game. I think I will. I did some adjustments to the settings for the sake of trying to beat it in a fair amount of time. But the further I got in it, I think I will go back and play it maybe more so how it was meant to be played, and enjoy some different aspects. But overall, I mean, I would recommend anyone playing it that likes, RPGs, single player games, things with stories and lots of depth to them and action.
So, by adjusting the settings, are you saying you turned on the golden gun?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, boo! And you still didn't beat it? Oh,
no, yeah.
Man.
I was too busy. I was too busy digging into all the corners, picking up all the files.
See, really, that's kind of where this game shines for me, though, is those files and all that stuff.
Yeah,
we'll get into all that stuff, but
yeah, for sure. That's
like if I was going to pick one way for you guys to play it, it would have been just pick up all the files and worry about the missions later, because the missions, I mean, I don't even know if I have a full grasp on what's going on, and I beat it twice and platinumed it twice. So,
oh, that's good. Good.
Nice.
I feel better now.
Yeah, I got excited there for a second when you said dig, and I thought you were talking about the canal, and I was like, me too. That's why I couldn't beat it. But that's for another time, another Valheim podcast. But yeah, I would agree with both of you. My general thoughts. So, like I said at the start, I haven't beat it yet, but I fully intend to continue playing and finishing out the game. You know, getting in every nook and cranny and trying to 100% this game. Overall, I think the story is very interesting, and I don't know, it kind of pulls you in because it does one of those things where it doesn't really explain itself. It just kind of happens, right? And you have to you use other mechanics in the game to fill in the details, kind of. But it's done in a way that is intriguing and kind of draws you in. So I really like that. I think the game, like the core gameplay, is really fun. The action sequences are fun to do. The shooting is fun. And just like the overall weirdness of the environment. I wouldn't say exactly that it's like a horror game or like a scary, like it's not a Dead Space. I wouldn't even say it's like a Resident Evil. But it is creepy. It has like a creepy vibe and aesthetic, and like, it's a little creepy, but overall, I think it's really fun, and I'm excited to finish it out. I just have to, get this needle out of my arm first before.
We went from one needle to the next needle.
Yeah,
that's Mike's.
Never
that's
ends.
His gameplay strategy.
Yeah. But so we'll start out giving like just a little brief history, some details of the game, kind of what brought this game, at least to my attention. I found out about this game through our friend BioSiv, who was on I think it was our last What's Playing episode. He had streamed this recently, around the time that he was on our episode. I think he was still playing it or had just beaten it. So I had been watching him stream it, and it was very interesting, and I thought it looked very, very cool. And I believe he talked about it when he was on our episode, and I think that's what gave you the idea, Chad, that maybe this should be a game that we dive into and do a spoiler cast on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I had wanted to go back and play it, and this happens to me very frequently, where I should be playing something else that is sitting on my shelf, and I go back to a game that I've already platinumed. But I had been wanting to go back to it for some time, and then the Ultimate Edition came out on PS5, and I think it was like right around when BioSiv was playing it, and I had downloaded it. I was like, this is a cool game, and I think you guys said it was cheap on Steam. I was like, it might be good for us to sit down and talk about an individual game for once versus like like
the
broad category of
overarching.
them. Yeah. So I thought it'd be a good game to do, and I ended up unintentionally re-platinuming it. So I have a platinum on the base PS4 control and the Ultimate Edition control, which is kind of rare that you can get 2 platinums of the same game.
You should get an extra trophy for that.
Yeah, you should get a platinum for your 2 platinums.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Oddly enough, after hearing me talk about wanting to play this game, I think on our episode with BioSiv, one of our Discord members, Limes314, give him a little shout out here. He actually gifted me the Steam key, so I didn't have to pay for this game at all. So thanks, Limes. I've been really enjoying it. You're the real MVP.
There you go.
But yeah, so this game was developed by Remedy Entertainment, published by 505 Games, and as Chad had mentioned, it released in August of 2019 on PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, then was later released on the Switch in 2020, and then in 2021, re-released on the PS5 and Xbox X Series. The game itself was met with critical success, nominated for a handful of awards, and features 2 DLCs, one of which dives into this game's shared universe with Alan Wake, if you've heard of that game. Thanks to Biosiv also, who is currently streaming Quantum Break, which looks super cool.
Right. Another Remedy.
Yeah, same developer. Also within this like little shared universe, he found something you collect or pick up that referenced like an Alan Wake novel or something, which I thought was really cool. So these three games kind of like live in the same universe, or at least make references to each other, which is awesome. And yeah, so that's kind of like the brief rundown of the game Control. You follow a character named Jesse, who is for some reason coming to the Federal Bureau of what is it? Control? No, it's not. What is
Federal Bureau of Control.
That's
FBC.
Right. The FBC. And then
she's aware that you're following her, by the way, or playing as her. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, you got this little like inner dialogue with Polaris that you find out later. She ends up mysteriously assuming the role as the director, and that's kind of all at the beginning of the game, and then all this kind of weird stuff starts to unfold. So yeah, we'll give a few more spoiler-free thoughts here at the top of the episode, and then we're going to go hardcore into this. So wanted to hit a few categories that won't give away many like story details and stuff, but might be helpful for our listeners or viewers. So first up, what did you guys think about the visuals, like the graphics, things you pick up in the game, just that overarching visual category? We'll start with you this time, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I like the visuals, and it honestly, I don't know what came first, is like the the setting or the engine and the visuals, because they definitely lean into each other, into their strengths, because of the way the game isn't it's not an open world environment. It's all very linear. You're inside a building, right, which is weird. It completely takes place within this bureau, which when the game starts, it's basically you're on the street and it's just a regular office government looking building, and the game entirely takes place within inside of it. And just like it feels a little bit aloft. It is loose, but it also plays into the different powers you get, the way you interact with the environment, the way the environment interacts with you, and also heavily plays into the nature of this building and the environment. Everything everything moves. The building moves from time to time. Everything's just very kind of flippy floppy, maybe. But
that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, and your character has this certain like force with it as you walk through things. Like you just knock chairs over, you knock like desks around, and and it's fun movement wise, and it really kind of cleans up any of the weird like pathfinding snags and things like that. So the way it was designed really lends itself to be very fluid at the same time, which makes it very fun for otherwise being in very confined spaces, which is to me different in games because we're used to these much more open world, malleable places. Right. But this is a very closed world, but still malleable.
Yeah. So what do you think of the visuals, Chad?
Yeah, I think they're all really great. I think the kind of particle effects that the game has going on, like when you destroy any of the hiss, like the blur effect that it gives, and all the explosions and stuff are really top notch. And it got a pretty big boost on the PS5 with the Ultimate Edition.
Oh yeah.
I ran in. I don't know. You guys played it on PC both, right?
I played on the PS4, so we got 3 different perspectives.
Okay. Yeah, so on the PS4, for me at least, I ran into a lot of frame rate dips.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
it was primarily just from pausing the game and then unpausing, which is so bizarre. I've never seen that in a game in my life. It doesn't, the frames don't drop when there's like huge explosions and, you know, a dozen enemies on the screen. And
I almost feel like I'm re-dropping into the game when I unpause.
Yeah, it was really weird.
And it even lets you move a little bit, but like I just learned to just unpause and just like not touch the controller for a second, and then you're good.
Right. So for the PS5 version, that was mostly fixed. It's still kind of there, but it's not nearly as bad as it was on the PS4. But graphically, I think I just find the entire Federal Bureau of Control very aesthetically pleasing. Like it's this old school government building that's super creepy and it's got weird stuff. I really love the visuals for sure.
Yeah. The building itself is awesome. And one of the things that kind of stands out is like how you, when you get into a room that's kind of like overrun by the hiss, it has like that Inception, like Doctor Strange and the like mirror realm like look to it, where you know the walls are kind of like sticking out in these like weird 3-dimensional. There's Chad. What's up, bro? Yeah,
he's been released by the hiss.
Yes, you have been freed. But you know, like the walls are jutting out and like all over the place, and the rooms just look super weird. And one of the things that I loved is when you cleared a room and you like cleansed it at the control point or whatever, how like, you know, the walls and everything just kind of like shifts back into like the normal looking room. Like it's a small detail, but adds like I don't know, like a cool flavor to it after you clear an area or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
And just adds to like the weirdness of the game, I guess. But my favorite visual thing probably is the title cards when you get into like a new area. You're just like, you just walk in and then you're just like, bam, Black Rock Quarry or whatever. Or like,
and they're like so clean and crisp.
Yeah.
Like they're so cool. Yeah.
And just like the sound it makes when it comes on the screen. But I totally forgot about the particle effects like you're talking about, Chad. But dude, you're so right. Whenever you kill a hiss and just, visually it looks so cool.
The explosions, the sound is great. Even like where you're like, if you dash down a hallway and all the papers fly out from the racks and stuff, it's just super cool. And it's probably one of the most destructive games that I've ever played, where you pretty much can destroy anything that you want in the game. And that adds kind of a matrixy feel to the combat, which is really cool. Right. And I think it was kind of started with like they maybe dabbled with it in Max Payne and Quantum Break, but this is like the pinnacle of their gameplay. These are the kind of games they should be making, I think.
Yeah. Last little thing on the visuals too, are the video recordings that you find in the game. How it's like just real actors inside this like virtual game, you know, you're playing.
Right. And even like sometimes like they're like up on the TV and stuff, you can like walk up to them and it's still it's super cool.
It's so cool.
The live action blend is a real awesome detail, and we can go about that.
Different game, but when BioCiv is streaming Quantum Break, and Chad just mentioned Quantum Break. Dude, that game does the same thing, and they take it a step further. I'm sure Chad has played this game because he's played everything. But at the end of each act in Quantum Break, Nick, they play like a 20-minute, basically, episode of a Quantum Break TV show, depending on like what you did in that act, and all the characters are from the live action are like well-known actors, and all those characters in the game are modeled after the act. It's like it's super cool.
That's cool.
So to kind of go against what Mike said, that I played everything, I actually have just started Quantum Break probably right around when I started Control, because I got it. I was like, I'm probably going to get sick of Control pretty quick, so I'll get this to kind of dabble in. And I got it on the PC on Steam, and it's okay. It's good. It's not Control. Like if you're going backwards, you're going to have a bad time, I think. But I think it's a good progression to see where the studio's heading from Quantum Break. And Quantum Break was an Xbox exclusive too.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of missed it when it first came around. But yeah, the TV series thing is kind of cool because it's actually affected by what you do in the game.
Right,
it changes the actual TV, episode. So I thought that's really cool. But
yeah, it definitely looks interesting, and I want to play it just so I can watch the like end of act, little clips.
Right.
But they're not little clips; they're like 20 minutes long, which is pretty cool.
I did find that. Yeah, I got to the first one on when I played, and I did find it a little too long. But
yeah, well, I could imagine when you're playing a game and then you're like, oh, I got to sit here for 22 minutes, like
watch a TV show. Like I'm trying to play games.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't probably be as big of a deal if I wasn't on my computer on like a desktop screen and I was on my couch watching it. I'd probably be all right with it because like there are Metal Gear Solid cutscenes that are like 40 minutes long. So it's, it's short compared to that.
True. But yeah, I added Alan Wake and Quantum Break to my Steam wish list. So if they ever go on like super sale, I'm going to scoop those bad boys up. I've heard a lot of good things about Alan Wake.
Have you never played Alan Wake?
No, sir, have not.
Yeah, so these two games, Control and Alan Wake, are inherently tied, and there's a DLC that kind of brings it all together.
Yeah, what is it, like AWE or AEW or something?
Yeah, AWE, which is Altered World Event in the game. I don't know how far you guys got. I don't know if you've seen any of the AWEs in the game yet, the kind of recreations that they did.
Not sure. Doubt it. I mean, if I did, I probably would say yes.
So I'm gonna say no. I think the central. I didn't finish the AWE DLC, but it does add a really cool section of the map that you can explore. But I think it's pretty much saying the events of Alan Wake are an Altered World event in this game, which is like some object of power that the Control has to go examine. So. Yeah, I think you should pick up Alan Wake. I think I'd lean more towards Alan Wake than Quantum Break for sure.
Okay. They need to pick, game titles that don't kind of rhyme, in the future too.
Yeah.
Visuals pretty good. I think that we all gave them pretty good reviews here. Audio wise, I enjoy all of the sounds that I hear when I play this game
for sure.
The one that sticks out the most is when you're like, I'm just going to use Star Wars, when you force pull stuff to you. that whistling sound. Oh, so good. The gun sounds great. I mainly use the revolver and the spin.
Right.
So, but I love this. The spin sound is so great. I love the fact that wherever you go, like you just hear mumbling, like just in the background, the voices whispering, mumbling.
Yeah, you hear them talking. That adds a real creep level to the game for sure.
That coupled with just floating
humans in the
like all bendy humans,
Exorcist style.
I really enjoy going to the board and like hearing that like audio and then seeing the subtitles, and they like make absolutely no sense, but like maybe like every fourth word kind of does if you tie like every sentence together.
Yep.
I don't. What did you think, Chad, of the audio stuff? I don't want to talk about it all. I want to leave some room for you guys, but
yeah, I think the audio in the game is fantastic, and I kind of hinted at it. With the particle effects come awesome sound effects, and even like Mike said, when you walk into a new area, that like boom that you get when it pops up the name of the area. It's probably one of the best audio games I've ever played, and I wish more games were like that because it kind of gets you into the game a little bit more,
Yeah. Anything to add, Nick?
Yeah, I love audio tied to obviously like the setting, right? And like what's happening in the game. So to me, just like the subtle cues where I know I've cleared an area of bad guys because of the music. The music, it does that little bit, like it's that heightened, like deeper, like more upbeat, dramatic music. But then as soon as you kill the last enemy, it drops. Right. But it's the same ambient music that's kind of like in the game. It's just it fluctuates from like intense, and then it drops when you kill that last enemy. And I guess like that a lot, because it makes me feel like the combat is a specific stage or an event that you need to get through. It's not like you can have some enemy just wandering out there or around the corner. Because to me, the game, like you said, it's not meant to be like a scary, creepy game. So the fact that like they're telling you this is combat time, you should be focusing all your effort on fighting things. All right, now combat time's over. Go back to finding files, reading stuff, watching videos. Like, they're not trying to keep you in this heightened state of like panic that you're gonna die. And I appreciate that, because it lets me relax a little bit, because otherwise that game would freak me out if it was like a constant, like, a Dead Space or a zombie game kind of thing.
Yeah. What'd you guys think about the voice acting?
It's solid.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's solid. I think the voice acting is solid. I think some of the live action acting is a little finicky, especially the like doctor. The dude with the glasses. He's funny, but he's
darling.
Darling. I think he's. I don't know. I just don't like his actor, I think, is what it is. I don't know what it is about him.
That's funny. He's probably my favorite.
Well, I took that is how his character is supposed to be too. Like, he is just a weird guy.
Yeah.
Right.
I love those videos though. They're so good.
Yeah, they are. They are good. A lot of them are good, and a lot of the files. I don't know if you guys got into the files at all. How many of these things did you guys pick up?
So like probably the first 6 hours I played, I read, like after I picked one up, I read it. Which is probably why I didn't beat the game in my time, because I was literally reading everything. And then like the last couple play sessions, I was like, I can't do that. I just got to sprint. I'm sprinting to every place. But yeah, the files are so cool.
They're so interesting, man. They're so interesting.
So in regards to the voice acting though, because I will get to that next, because I want to talk about that. Voice acting, okay. Jesse's all right, not bad. I did think that I guess it's not really the voice acting, but more how the scenes, the little cut scenes during dialogue played out. But when it would like randomly cut away and like zoom right up to Jesse's face where she's like having inner dialogue, I'm like, okay, this is just kind of weird. Like I like the inner dialogue, but like, why do I got to stare like up Jesse's left nostril like every time? But yeah, in terms of the files and the videos and the audio recordings and like stuff that they have written on dry erase boards and these offices, and like the tertiary storytelling in this is so good, and actually super important to kind of like fill you in, not necessarily on like the exact plot that's unfolding, but like to give you an idea of what the FBC does and like what kind of stuff you're dealing with.
Right.
Some of the files are super interesting. Why don't you expand upon that, Chad?
Yeah. So I think that if you're not reading these files and playing this game, you're going to be utterly lost, because I read literally every single one that I found, and I'm not 100% sure I found every single one, and I'm still lost on the story. So if you're not picking those up and reading them, and I think you really should do it like Mike was doing it originally, which is pick it up and read it. Just read it right when you pick it up, because once you get like, there's hundreds of these things, you're going to get lost trying to go back and read through all of them. But it's cool. And it kind of like, some of them explain like why there's no like computers in this building. And it's like, because the hiss took over, I think the one I read was like all the electronics like explode. So that's why there's still papers everywhere, and everyone's using typewriters, or there's no computers, there's no cell phones, there's nothing. But yeah, the meta level of storytelling in this game is kind of unparalleled to anything that I've ever played before, because there's just such a mass quantity of it.
Yeah. Did you get into any of the files, Nick? Whether it's, listening to the audio ones, watching the video ones, or reading the ones you picked up?
Yeah, definitely like you early on, like that was what I was doing, but then quickly like the pacing, like trying to beat it, kind of took over. And yeah, I that's okay. I don't want too much of it. And I don't know, like, because I do go back and like look through, because I do try to pick everything up. But do I try to read everything? No. So like going back and looking through it, how much there is to read, I don't know. That's kind of intimidating to me as like what I'm looking to do. Though I do like the videos, though you did say that if you go back and look at the videos in your file, they're a bit longer.
Yeah, I noticed that. The first couple ones that I watched in my collectibles tab were, showed a few different things than when you watch them like during the gameplay.
See, I prefer them just to give me the whole thing during the gameplay.
Right. Yeah.
That would be nice, because I do sit there and I watch them throughout the gameplay, especially those creepy little dolls.
The threshold kids.
Threshold kids,
Man, those straight up reminded me of like those weird ARG videos that I watch all the time on YouTube. Right. Like this whole game gives me that vibe.
Yeah, that's why I told you when we were about to play it, I was like, you're gonna love all the ARGE things in this game,
Yeah, the threshold kids are so good. Just their song is so
it's just so as soon as you hear it, it's very haunting, right? Yeah. That song coming on is just like, what the heck? But
yeah.
Some of the letters that you pick up explain this, and it might be 6 months since I read some of these, but I thought those were made for kids that were living in the bureau at the time, whether they were the kids of the people that worked there or what, and they had some sort of weird reaction to the hiss, and these videos would like calm them down or something like that. Whoa. So that's why it's weird, because the entire bureau seems like it's self-contained. Like people live there, the people that are working there live there. Everybody's either protected by those vests that they're wearing, or they're hanging up in the sky, Exorcist style. So it's just, I found at the beginning of the game, they don't give you a whole lot of direction whatsoever. Like right from the get-go, you walk in and you're almost instantly presented with one of these letters to read. And I think that's kind of hinting at, hey, you should probably be doing this through the whole game, or you're going to be completely lost. So what did you guys think of the kind of no tutorial whatsoever, do your thing type of deal? Do you like that?
Yeah. I mean, I like that completely. I liked it, especially, well, it lends itself to that type of game because you are kind of confined to hallways and stuff like that. So I do like just kind of stumbling through and, just naturally coming upon things. And then it does a good job at being like, even if I didn't stray too far from like exploring areas I guess I knew I shouldn't be exploring yet, but I could definitely see where if you get the quest, they're like, hey, you need to go to, whatever the research area. You've been there before, you're familiar with it. And I feel like that it would even hint that you've known about things there and stuff like that.
Right.
I think the game is simple enough at its base that you don't generally need a tutorial, so to speak. I like the lack of direction story-wise. It just adds to the intrigue with how they executed it. Works well. If it wasn't executed as well, it would suck.
Right.
But like whenever you get a new ability or whatever, when you go to the board and that's like your tutorial, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of like that, where they just teach you whenever it's time, and when they do teach you, it takes like 30 seconds,
Right. Yeah, I thought it was. Sometimes that annoys me in games, depending on how complicated games are. But for the mystery of this game, I thought it was perfect, because you're just kind of thrown in there, and it's like, figure it out, and that's perfect because you're in this building that you got to navigate through and figure out. So I thought it was good. I heard a lot of people complaining about that, but I don't find the game like overtly difficult. So I don't know what kind of. I mean, you go to the astral plane to get all your other abilities, like Mike said. So
especially if you turn on like one shot everything and boost all the I mean, it's not that hard. Like you shoot.
It's got auto aim, one shot kills. I mean, well, come on, what tutorial do you need?
I mean, this is the state of my like gaming abilities right now, is because even with that on, like I'm still like swearing when I'm like in combat. So and like running around frantically, or like I turn and I'm like on a stairwell and there's just like one of those little exploding things like right there. It still like freaks me out.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be hilarious if the one-shot kill applied to everything. So, like, you could one-shot kill, but they could also one-shot kill you.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. But it does. So I turned it on after I got the platinum. I turned it on. I was too scared to do it before because I thought it was going to stop my trophies, and I'm not sure if that's true or not. But
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either. But you literally one-shot the bosses.
Yeah.
Oh,
so yeah,
that's the sad part, is I wish I had the 5-shot the bosses, is because the one in the one area, I think it was in the like the Atlas room or whatever it was, it just appeared and I just was shooting other things and it just disappeared instantly. I'm like, I didn't even get to see it. I just completely missed it.
That's what you get for cheating.
I know.
Right.
Yeah, I think they should allow you to be one-shot killed too. That just even the playing field, you know? Just go ahead and gun the whole thing.
Well, there's a lot of settings in there that where you can adjust like the damage output from enemies, your damage output, and then turn on the one-shot thing. So you could probably tune it to be a little bit like that.
Yeah, you could probably get close because you can lower the bar for their, or raise the bar for their damage. So yeah, you probably could get close.
Nice. Another thing I enjoyed about this game is it's just like we've been talking about, the lore behind everything that's happening is so deep. I kind of just want someone to just explain the lore, not even the gameplay, just like how did the oldest house come about? Like where, like it's this building that kind of is self-contained, like Chad said, but like it also moves around like to different locations, and then they have like the objects of power that like the light switch that you pull 3 times and all of a sudden you're in like a motel in Montana or somewhere. I don't know. I forget exactly where. But like just the lore and the background of this game is so cool. Like I kind of would not be opposed to a Control TV series. Like not like a Quantum Break, like have live action stuff at the end of the acts. I'm talking like actually make a TV series on this game and explore all of that stuff that's just kind of like glossed over in these notes and whatnot.
Yeah. So I think the original plot for the game was, I don't know if it's been officially said that it was inspired by SCP Foundation, which is I don't know. Do you know what that is, Mike?
It sounds very familiar. So I'm sure as soon as you start to explain it, it'll pop into my head.
Yeah, it's like a fictional web-based collaborative thing that you can go and read files on all these weird objects of power, essentially, and how they contain them. They all have different ways to contain them. And so it's like a creepypasta kind of thing.
Okay. Have you talked about this on That Strange before?
Yeah. So we talked about it, I think, on one of our top 10 episodes.
Yeah, that must be where I've heard it from.
Right. So I think the original bureau was made to investigate these altered world events, which were usually happened from an object of power, but they don't really ever explain, at least I didn't pick up on, like how the hiss got into the bureau and how everything got so screwed up. And I think it's mysterious to be mysterious, but it doesn't quite give you enough. And that would be my one complaint with the story, is that even though there's thousands of files, I feel like it's not, it doesn't put everything together. You know,
it's missing the one link.
Yep.
But from what I'm gathering so far, it seems like this darling fella has something to do with bringing the hiss in through something.
Through his research. Yeah. That's what I picked up too. So
and I think I've enjoyed seeing his like slow descent into madness through these videos that you pick up. But yeah, like, so Okay, so we've had 45 minutes of spoiler-free talk, so now it's spoiler cast time. So you've had your fair warning. If you haven't played, or you have a desire to play this game and not have anything spoiled, stop listening and come back later after you've played the game, or you can enjoy listening to Chad spoil it while Nick and I sit here and listen to what actually happens at the end of the game. To be fair, I have watched this game be played through to completion. But yeah, so far this, the story that I've played through, he plays Jessie. She comes to the FBC. I forget is the reason stated at the beginning of the game why she shows up, or is she just led there by what you find out to be is Polaris?
So it's never said exactly why she's there, but I believe the original reason that she came to the Bureau was to find her brother, who she believed that the Bureau had in the building somewhere.
Dylan is his name.
Dylan,
correct?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so you do find out later that she's there to find Dylan. But yeah, when you first plop in, it's just like, I'm here, and this is.
Yeah, this. I mean, she kind of hints at I've been looking for this place everywhere, and it's been right here all this time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really all you get at the beginning is she's here.
Yeah,
and she's been looking for it. We don't know why, but.
Quick side note, the opening sequence up to the opening credits is so cool. I love you're in the elevator and all that stuff. Yeah. Anyways, but you very quickly, find out the director blew his own brains out and you're now the director because the weapon has chose you and the board has chosen you. But you find out that that Jessie has this being, presence, whatever you want to call it, in her head that is called Polaris. That's kind of the person she's inner dialoguing to and is kind of guiding her. And you're there to find her brother Dylan. And up to where I am in the game now, she talks to some of the people at the FBC about, Dylan being taken because there was an AWE that happened in their hometown of Ordinary. And they were the only two that survived, and the FBC came and they took Dylan, and for somehow she was not taken, but she's been searching for Dylan. Where I'm at in the game now, you find out Dylan is a pretty bad dude. He is contained in some maximum security cell, and he had written her name in blood on some glass wall, and I was like, oh, that doesn't look good, Dylan. It's not looking good for you, bro. But that's where I'm at. I just finished my brother's keeper mission. So
first off, the Panopticon is awesome, isn't it? Isn't it such a cool area? I love that. Might be one of my favorite, if not my favorite areas in the entire map. It's just, and did you probably not because you were rushing. You can go explore the other cells in there, and they have a bunch of different.
Yeah, I just I sprinted down, but as I was sprinting, I was looking side view so I could see all the things I was sprinting.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I love the objects of power in this game, the OOPs, that you have to go cleanse. One of them in that map there is an old refrigerator.
Yeah,
I haven't done that mission yet, but I just love the fact that
and
you have to go cleanse this old refrigerator.
I believe the refrigerator is the one that has the dude sitting in front of it that has to stare at it the whole time.
I can't keep looking at it
anymore. So you find that kind of stuff. Did you guys come across the room that was full of sticky notes?
Maybe. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a office that's full of literally every inch of the office, which is pretty big, is filled with individual sticky notes.
I didn't then. That would have been very apparent.
Yes, it's very obvious. And then if you walk in on the desk, there is a letter that you can pick up of the dude that works in that office. and he's like, I don't know what happened, but the Post-its started replicating, and now I can't work in here anymore. I can't do this anymore. It's hilarious. It is one of the funniest things I've ever read in that game, for sure, because he's so agitated that these things started duplicating throughout his office.
Dude, I think I might have worked with that guy. His name is Steve, and his cubicle at the office. Nick, I don't know if you ever saw this back on Dressler, but like every open space of his cubicle is just lined in Post-it notes. So that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Shout out Steve.
So there's all kinds of cool stuff like that. There's one where the guy's like, hey, I just moved to the executive sector, and I know that the bathroom moved, but can somebody tell me where it's at? Oh my God, it's so great. Yeah, some of it is very funny.
And even the parts that aren't that funny, like the refrigerator, like in the game, is creepy. But when you talk about it, like there's a guy that can't stop staring at a refrigerator, and he's locked in a cell, and you have to go like cleanse this refrigerator. Like
when you're in the game, when you're in the game, you're like, oh my gosh, that's horrifying. This poor guy just has to sit here and stare at this thing. But now that we're talking about it, it's pretty funny.
I love the trips to the Oceanside or Ocean View Motel.
It's probably my favorite thing about the game. I love going there, and I love solving the puzzles there. But also there's something about the light switch pulling and like how it starts that off that way, and then the way it ends it on that note. But you got to pull it like 3 times or whatever. And it's just like, it's so random, that whole process, that whole part of the game, but it's not at the same time.
I just love
I don't know everything. Like I couldn't tell someone like, oh, go there, pull this once, pull that twice, do this, do that. I'm still like, I don't know, go in there and just like start doing things, and it should start working.
Yeah.
I do love how like when you pull it, like the lighting changes.
Yeah,
it's creepy.
And then
you
the sound
again.
Effect too,
It's very tense, even though most of the time nothing really happens that is that scary.
The visual detail in that too is really important. The doors opening, the light in the hallways, it's so well done.
Yeah, I think the beginning, the first couple puzzles are pretty simple, and I don't even know if I could tell you what I did right to do it. I just, like Nick was saying, was messing around with stuff. But when you get later into the game, you kind of have to like, there's one where you have to match the room, so like the clock has to be in a specific point and the picture has to be leaning a specific way and that kind of stuff. So I thought puzzle wise it was really, really cool, and every time I got to go there I was super excited to see what was coming next.
Each time kind of evolves on itself too. So like the first one is simple, even though you don't know what you're doing, but then by the time you get to like that one where you have to match the rooms, like the first room, the bell opens, it's the template, but you walk in there, you don't know that. You're like, well, there's nothing to do in here. So you go back, hit the bell, you see the light from the door open, and then you go in there like, all right, I can touch some things, move some stuff. And then, it kind of very organically kind of comes to you.
Right.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
So let's spoil the crap out of this game, and then we can continue talking about like the minor details or other like really fun things that we like. So what happens after Dylan escapes? Like what finish off the story of the game here for us, Chad. I know that eventually you come face to face with Dylan. There's like a weird part where basically the credits start to roll, but then they like stop, and then you're in the bureau again and like doing all these meaningless tasks like cleaning up, picking up coffee mugs and all this stuff. And finish the game out for us here. So
Dylan escapes, like you saw, and then he surrenders to I can't remember the Pope, I think her name is in the main section of the game.
Yeah.
I think that's her name.
Pope's awesome.
Yeah, so he surrenders to her. He's infected by the hiss, obviously, which I mean, you guys can pick up if you just look at his cell. He like destroyed it getting out of there, so there's no way that I think it was like through a couple of the letters it was hinted that he was supposed to be the next director, and then I think he like accidentally killed somebody or something like that, so they put him in the jail cell. But after, so the part that Mike's talking about, which is kind of for me the most infuriating part of the game, is after the credits kind of roll, you're put into this. You're literally doing office tasks. You're making copies, and I'm talking like 30 copies, and then you got to clean up coffee cups, 30 coffee cups, and then you have to you keep delivering mail back to the director's office, and then that restarts the whole cycle, and then you got to do it all over again. And as you're going through the sections, like originally the people sitting at the desk are just regular people, then they start becoming kind of hiss looking, and then by the end they're like full on hiss sitting at the desk and stuff. So I don't know if that was like her test to become the actual director, because then at the end you're like, you got the director's suit and you're like approved by the hiss or whatever, or approved by the bureau. I don't really pretend to be a know-it-all on this game, because it's I would like to talk to somebody that is, because I would love to know where they got it all. But so I think the original thing that is drawing Jessie to the bureau is obviously she's looking for her brother, and then the slide projector that they found when they were a kid is like super protected by the bureau, and I believe it's because it's the first altered or object of power that they ever found. Mm-hmm. So the final boss fight is like working up to try and cleanse this projector. But did you get okay? So you didn't get to like the ashtray maze or any of that stuff yet?
I got to the mission, but I skipped it.
Okay, so
is it a side mission?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, then maybe I didn't get there yet.
It's probably, now that I think about it, it might be the last mission of the game. But you can find the ashtray maze, but it's like a room that shifts like the bureau shifts. And it's like an old New York City hotel that you're walking, but you keep going in circles. You can't do anything. So you have to leave eventually. But at the end, Ati, who is the janitor.
Love that guy.
Yeah. I mean, he's all like, something to me tells me that he's like the most powerful guy in the building. He's just playing, you know what I mean? Doesn't it give that feeling?
Oh yeah. And they also dropped the ball not having Gary Oldman be Ati, because he looks exactly like him. Like,
right.
Just get him. Just get Oldman. Come on. He's not doing anything.
So the janitor gives you his cassette player, and that allows you to get through the ashtray maze. And it's like, it's kind of weird because it plays like this super rock and roll music.
Pretty awesome song.
Yeah. It's like a nice change of pace, I guess, but it's just like, for a game that's very low key, it turns it not low key anymore because you got this blaring rock and roll music. Yeah. So anyway, you're getting through there to try to get to the slide projector, which is named Hedron, I think, in the game. And that turns out to be Polaris. And that's pretty much, all you're getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Polaris is the OOP?
Correct.
Okay, so
we are not Polaris.
I think,
they have like a connection.
I've read that theory that you are Polaris.
Right.
But I don't know that in the game it hints at that, unless I just totally missed it. But I've heard that multiple times, so that it could be totally right.
I always took it as like she is aware of our presence playing the game, or not necessarily playing as her, but like with her along on this journey. Some sort of fourth wall breakdown.
Yeah.
Now exactly like what we are as the player in this world, I don't know, right? I guess we could be Polaris, whatever that is defined as to them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I've definitely heard that theory a couple times, so there might be water to it, but it's just like, it's almost like a game that you have to play multiple times. It's like watching a Christopher Nolan movie. You know what I mean? Like you're never going to get it 1 or 2 times. Maybe the 3rd time you'll pick up on it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, the game definitely lends itself. I mean, you platinumed it twice. I could see myself replaying it for like different to get more out of it. Obviously, if you have to play it multiple times, but it at least is accessible enough to be played multiple times. It's not overly long, nor is it overly complicated or difficult. So that would make sense to me. It's designed to be played many times.
Right. Yeah, I think you have to. The problem is if you just play this game mission to mission to mission to mission, you're gonna have no idea what's going on. It's all the the files and stuff that kind of put a little bit of it together, but it's a super confusing game, man, and it's not. I don't claim to be an expert on it for sure.
I kind of like that though. To an extent.
Yeah. I think that
I wish the building more of the building moved while you were running through it. I thought that's what they were gonna do when they first were talking about setting it up. Like I thought you would get to points in the bureau where like the halls are shifting and like it was a more dynamic.
It's real Inception like.
Yeah,
yes,
but it's not. It's just like there's areas that are kind of like blocked up, and then you cleanse them, kind of thing.
I will say, so like, is the board also the hiss did the hiss choose you as the director, or is the board which chooses the director a completely different thing that's like a part of the oldest house or a part of something else that's separate from the hiss? So like,
I believe the board is always at the Federal Bureau of Control. That's like literally their board. So I don't think it has anything to do with the hiss. I don't know that it is responsible for letting the hiss in or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's this say?
8A menu says when you finish the main story, play the Foundation expansion and the AWE one, because they're really intriguing and essential to the development of the story of both the Bureau and Jesse.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you very much for your comment, sir or madam.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think both DLCs are worth playing through. I think Foundation is if you're coming right out of Control, Foundation is a nice change of pace because it's like the cave system underneath the Bureau. So it's all like caves and, different. It's all like rock essentially. And then AWE is just another section of Control that's been overrun by something that came from Alan Wake. So it's got some really cool changes to the mechanics of the game. And I liked that one a little bit more because I wanted to explore more of the Bureau. That's what I felt was the coolest part of the game. Right. That's kind of lost in Foundation because it's all caves. Like it's still technically part of the Bureau, but it doesn't look anything, it doesn't have the intrigue that the original game had for me.
Yes. And then he says the Foundation expansion also expands quite a bit about the board, which would answer the question that I'm asking here. So that's really good to know. Thank you again, sir, for your comments. Very much appreciated. If you're still watching, tell us your thoughts on Control. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What did you think about the non-hand-holding approach to the storytelling and just kind of dropping you in there? I'd be curious to hear. But yeah, it's a very intriguing game, and I definitely want to get back in, finish it up. I have a canal to build first, but after the canal is done, Control it will be, and I'm really looking forward to digging into all the files and really taking my time instead of like sprinting through everything.
Right. So let's instead of talking about the story, which I barely have a grasp on, and you guys haven't finished, so you don't have a grasp on, let's talk about like the enemies in the games and the difficulty of the game. Did either of you find the game too difficult?
No. I've died maybe 3 or 4 times. But more so from my own mismanagement of ammo and getting stupid reasons, but not because that was impossible to do type reasons. I really enjoy the gameplay. I think the combat is fast paced and pretty crisp and clean. And as far as the enemy types, I love the different versions of, the hiss. You have your standard guys, you got your rocket launcher guys, you got some grenade thrower guys, but then you have the ones that have shields. So you have to you can waste your bullets trying to deplete their shield, but you got to use that force pull thing to knock the shields off. Then you have the floating, exploding guys like Nick was talking about. I had gotten to the part where there's the infected hiss or whatever, where they're gray and
that's the mold, the mold. Infected, yeah.
Give me a very Last of Us vibe.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It almost looks like they're right out of The Last of Us.
Yeah.
So I didn't find the game too difficult. It's funny because I felt the hardest bosses in the game were side missions, not main mission. So there's a mold boss you have to fight. I thought was very difficult. There's another one, and I can't remember the name of him, but he might be one of the most infuriating fights I've ever had in a video game in my life. But it's all side missions. So that kind of goes to what I was saying earlier about this game, that you have to do it all. I feel like to a point, there are probably, if I had to rank the top 5 missions in the game, 4 of those are probably side missions. So yeah, if you guys are going to finish the game, I would say make sure you do the side missions, because some of those are far better than anything the main campaign had to offer, I thought.
Nice. BioCiv chimes in. The inspiration for our episode tonight. Thank you, sir, for chiming in. He said the game had its moments of difficulty. The flying enemies were OP, which I would agree with. I love throwing stuff at people, and you can't throw stuff at the flying guys.
So you actually can't. You actually can, and it's kind of finicky. But instead of holding whatever you're throwing all the way back to you, are you so excited that you can do this? If you just quickly tap R1, so she just picks it up quickly and throws it, you can get it to hit him. It's a little finicky, but it works, and it kills them after 1 or 2 hits. And yeah, I found that very infuriating, because that's the coolest part of the game, is throwing stuff and the rock shield. It's very Star Wars. It's very
love the rock
X-Men.
shield.
Yeah, the rock shield is cool. And then when you get the ability later on to pull the rock shield up and then throw it out when you're done, it's just this is the coolest X-Men game that there never was,
Right.
So Nick, being the one of us that cheated, what did you think of the difficulty?
Well, no, I mean, I need that kind of handicap, but even without that, I can get a good sense of the difficulty of the game. And I agree with BioCiv. It definitely has its moments of difficulty, because even with the insta kill on, I was still a little panicked at some points, because you can get overwhelmed in that game if you're not very aware of the environment, right, where you're at, especially in when you first get in the research. There's just so many levels, and I don't know if everyone, some people might jump more around in that game. I definitely don't jump around a lot, but you could, and I just see that as a threat to falling and dying more. But no, I definitely think the difficulty is well managed with what the game is meant to, the other things it cares about. Like I was saying earlier, as far as the combat times are very cued. Audibly, so when to fight, when not to fight. Bosses I don't really have much indication of, other than the flying one. I could see that being difficult.
when you don't shoot it once and it dies, right?
Yeah, right. I was like, I have a hard time just like shooting it once.
So the boss that I was thinking of was Anchor, and the annoying thing about that boss is there's like platforms in the room, and it spins around and then it opens its mouth and shoots at one of the platforms, but you have to hit it in the mouth that's open. So if you're not over there, I mean, you could be there for 20 minutes trying to kill this thing and it's shooting the wrong platform every time. So it wasn't necessarily difficult as it was infuriating.
Yeah. Right. But I think I remember watching BioCiv do that one.
Yeah, and I actually watched BioCiv beat, I think I watched him fight Essage, which is Jesse backwards. Did you see that one, Mike?
Yeah.
Okay, so that boss fight's my favorite boss fight in the game, and that's a side mission. So that whole sequence is really creepy because once you, so essentially, you interact. What's so funny?
I spent an hour on Anchor.
Yeah, it's like the most infuriating fight I've ever encountered. But once you it doesn't take that long to kill it. It's just getting in the position to even damage it is the hard part.
So our boy 8 chimes in again. Great game. Finished it a few days ago for the first time. Had a blast, mostly because of the opened nature of the exploring and trying to piece out the chronologic order of the lore. Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned the opened nature of the exploring because it's like Nick said, a relatively closed off environment that you're in because you're inside this building, and it's not what a lot of people the majority of games these days are these large open world games that you can explore. But this game, while being so confined in this building, does a really good job of giving you nooks and crannies to explore.
Right.
He also says, crappy game if you're not a reader, though. You'll miss the most unique aspect of the game, in my opinion. Agreed.
Sure. Yeah, I definitely agree there. With that. So let me finish up this Jesse backwards fight, I'm going to call it, because I don't know how it's actually, I don't think it's said in the game, but Essage. So essentially, you'll find a couple articles that forms that you'll read about mirrors and how there's no mirrors in the building. Like even if you go in the bathrooms, there's no mirrors or anything. So they have some sort of negative effect on the hiss. There's one mirror that I found at least, and it's part of the side mission, and you actually interact with the mirror and then it turns the world backwards. So you'll interact with it and then Jessie will start talking and she's talking backwards. So she's making no sense. The audio recordings you find in the room are playing backwards. They make no sense. And then you go out and you fight her like evil second half. And that boss fight is, I mean, it's a white knuckle fight for sure. But I just felt that I hope you guys get to that mission because that is I thought it was one of the most unique missions in the game and such a weird, like everything's playing backwards. It's just super creepy. Not that everything else in the game isn't, but
right. I love the attention they pay to those small details, things like that. Again, if you've listened to the Show Boys at all, like video, like what's playing or what's watching, you'll know that like the small details, that's what gets me. So, yeah, the fact that you're like in a mirror world and like literally everything is backwards is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, the fact they would pay that close attention to things like that. Newton's Cradle, Secret in the Mirror World, from BioCiv there.
Yeah. So I did want to point out something. And I'm going to kind of answer my question right after I ask it. Did you guys find anything absolutely annoying in the game that you couldn't stand? Now I'm going to answer this.
Now, did you, Chad?
Yes, I did.
Okay, please tell.
So I found the map in this game just atrocious. And I don't know if you guys had any trouble using that. It might be one of the worst maps I've ever seen in a game before. And I don't really know what it is about it that just, I think it's like if it tells you to go to the research sector, it just shows the whole research sector. You're like, I have no idea. This place is huge. Where am I supposed to go in here?
Yeah.
Did you guys?
What did you think, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, as being a professional map reader, I would definitely, I would definitely rate it as not the best map by far. I think it has to do with the orientation, just like kind of the orientation of it doesn't match your experience in the game, if that makes sense. So like good game maps match what you are experiencing in the game. This does not do that, because you pull, like, you're in this 3D world, but you pull up this map, it's trying to be 3D, but it's definitely not. And the way they indicate like what's a hallway, what's a corridor, how things connect, it doesn't do it, because they're also like stacking layers, like floors on top of each other. And I was in the maintenance sector. I was doing the old boys club, maybe, or the one right before that, where it's the room off to the right of the maintenance sector. And like, I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to get over there. And I'm going through the lockdown room where you turn off the lockdown. I'm in the janitor's closet office thing. And it just does not lend itself to any kind of like readability that matches what you expect.
Yeah. I found it not helpful.
Yeah, exactly what you're about to say, Chad. Like, a lot of times I'm trying to, figure out how to get to where I'm supposed to go, and it's one of those multi-leveled areas, and you're just like, I should be able to get there from here, but I can't, and I don't know how to get to there because the level I'm on is not what's kind of like on the forefront of the map. And typically I don't use the maps for most games, but for some reason I found the need to in this game, and then this map was just bad.
It definitely needed to be like Fallen Order, where you could hit the arrow key and it would give you the different levels, or it had to be like Dead Space, where it's a 3D spinning rendering map that shows me where I'm at. I think I felt like it would have been really easy just to do the Fallen Order thing, because I thought that's what it looked like to me. Because I would even try to do that at times, because I would open it and I would be like, this doesn't at all match where I'm at, or like where I'm trying to go. So I'm like, can I look at a different version of the map that's just like my area, because I'm in a maze of hallways and you're just showing me a cluster of stuff. I'm like, not helpful.
Right. Yeah. I think you nailed that, because Returnal has a very similar map to Jedi Fallen Order, and I really like that map. It's what Control needed. And there would be like times in Control where you'd be like trying to find where you're going, and you think you're following the map, and you end up in like a totally different sector. I'm like, what? Like, this is so awful. And that kind of adds frustration to the game, especially when you're trying to beat it quickly. So we can talk, you know what I mean? That's got to be infuriating. So
for some reason I just kept appearing at the canal. I don't understand.
I just kept playing Valheim. I didn't understand what was going on.
Well, I mean, to your point, like trying to do it quickly, and even so, like, obviously I like that the areas that you haven't been to are dark and like not colored in. And as soon as you get there, they're colored in. But what it also does a terrible job at is showing where these areas connect to the other areas. So like that spot in the maintenance sector, it runs the whole side of the map, but it only connects way up here, in a dark spot where it touches. It doesn't, all these other spots with doors and rooms, there's no connection.
Right.
And so I'm like wasting all this time like down here when I had to go all the way around and up and then in, and then I'm like, okay, I got there eventually. Thanks to the map. So
I always felt like just looking at the map confused me more than I always was. So but I think the second time playing through it, because I think I had like a really hard time finding the janitor's office the first time, and I don't know if it's just like I knew where it was the second time I'm playing, but I was like super easy to find the second time. So I think the map was just working against me the entire game. But go ahead.
I was going to say, I bet Nick is really excited that you talked about the map, because his literal job is staring at maps all day.
Really?
Like, he literally is a map guy. So
making, critiquing, and making maps and reading them.
Perfect guy to talk about.
You're the one to rip it apart, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Oh yeah. Assassin's Creed Origins, wonderful map. Absolutely wonderful.
Yep.
An old love of mine, League of Legends.
Oh, I thought
has an amazing
friend or something.
No. There's only one love. Her name's Becca. No.
Okay.
If you're listening, Becca.
Only if she's listening.
Now let's talk about your old love.
No, but League of Legends has, since we're talking about maps and cool maps, they have a really cool like 3D like lore map that I showed you, Nick. That's kind of like interactive.
Yep.
Very
I thought
cool
you were
map.
going to say the map you play on. That's the same for every single game. I was like, oh yeah, it's a real cool map.
So cool.
Yeah, no, but the map where on that peninsula where our canal runs through is just okay. Sorry, that one didn't land. All right, so
yeah, I think that map wise, my favorite are always like the Metroidvania games that you fill in like the 2D map. It's just, I don't know if it's because I'm an old school gamer, but those maps are just always so simple. And it's like, I know exactly where I'm going and I know it's red. I can't go there. And I wish every map was like that. And it's funny because this game has a lot of kind of Metroidvania. What am I looking for here? Qualities to it, because the kind of gist of a Metroidvania is you get, there's areas that you can't get to until you unlock something later in the game, and then you come back and you can get to it. And you got that with like being able to levitate and then levitate longer and all that stuff. So there's a lot of that there. And I thought outside of the map itself, that you're looking at trying to figure out where you're going, the entire map was brilliantly put together. Not the actual map, I'm talking the bureau itself, and it's because of those Metroidvania kind of elements that it has.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I mean, then you even have like the key card where you can open different doors and stuff,
right?
I would say it is a cool map that you play on, not one that you look at.
yeah, it's one of the worst pause screen maps I've ever seen. One of the best, levels, I guess, would be the best.
Yeah, there you go. That's the best way to describe it.
So yeah, fun fact, those countermeasure missions suck. Those board countermeasures, you have to do like 25 of those. And it sucks because they don't, they pop up randomly. Did you guys get any of those to pop up yet? I'm not sure when in the game they start popping up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So or is he talking about the things like when you go to the control point and like, because I know you can there's a section there, I think that's called like countermeasures or something. Maybe they're like challenge.
Yeah. Maybe that is what he's talking about. I
haven't done either what you're talking about or what he's talking about, but
yeah, that might be, I might have got it mixed up. That might be what you have to do 25 of those, and they're like different challenges that you can accept. And then you can turn them in.
I did the training course. That was fun. Not hard, fun.
Yeah, I thought that was a kind of a cool segment. It infuriated me a little bit, but it took me like 3 or 4 times to get through it. But I thought it was kind of cool for sure.
That was another fun thing to watch BioCiv do.
Well, I liked it once I figured it out, and it also just lends itself to like how fluid that game is, because you can slap the one card in the room, the door starts open, but you can already be having something in your hand and just throw it at the next thing, and you can get a real nice rhythm to that, to where you don't even have to enter the next room before you're already like completing it. So it's very fluid.
So 8 says, I got to 25 finishing the second expansion. Excuse me. Congratulations, sir. Again, really appreciate you chiming in the comments. If anyone else out there during the live stream has anything to say they want to throw at us, you just leave a little comment. We'll throw it up on the screen. We'll talk about it. But yeah, so maybe we can round out the episode here. Just pick one thing that stands out to you as like your favorite thing of Control. For us, Nick and I will be so far, but for Chad, since you've platinumed the game twice, you are bound to have a favorite component or mechanic or story portion. So we'll start with you, Chad, since you've actually beat the game. What's your favorite thing about Control?
So for me, it's absolutely the gameplay and the bureau itself. Exploring the map is the best part of the game, and that's kind of bettered by the gameplay. So I think the story was a little vague to me, but I think that they had intended everybody was going to read those documents, and that's not how everybody plays games, right? Yeah. So yeah. I think it might have been better to be all audio recordings instead of files. It would have been a little bit better that you can maybe listen to as you were continuing playing instead of from like a pause menu.
Or at least heavily skewed towards audio and still having some reading ones. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that I would hope that they're going to make some sort of sequel to this game. So I hope that just the base gameplay stays the same, because I think it's absolutely stellar. And I hope that the story is maybe a little bit more in depth. But what I was talking about was bureau alerts, not countermeasures earlier. So those are the things that pop up and you have like a set amount of time to go.
Yeah, I have had a few of those pop up, but I have ignored them because I was trying to beat the main story, which I failed at too. So.
Yeah, I think I
did the mailroom one. That was intense.
Yeah. So they're fun, but they're kind of annoying for a trophy because they kind of pop up randomly. You know what I mean?
Are you able to go back and do those?
I mean, they'll always as far as I know, they can just continuously pop up.
But you have like 16 minutes. You have like a set amount of time to go address them, though. Then they like disappear.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just on a cycle. They'll pop back up eventually, the same exact one. Because I feel like I've done the same one a couple times, but I could be wrong. I would agree with what he says here too. Yeah. And the mod system for the service weapon seems kind of worthless and a little convoluted. I kind of felt that way too. I felt like I don't know. I used grip for most of the game, and it wasn't until like towards the very end of the game where it actually started to feel kind of powerful. But it's just I mean, the mods they're like. I felt like they were doing nothing to the gun, outside of like some of the like energy return or use less bullets or whatever.
Yeah, I one-shot things, and I felt that way about that system.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Even the talents that you spent your talent points on, also not very cool.
I kind of always. Even when I played the second time, I tried to get levitate very out the gate because they're like I said, areas you can't access, and I love being in the air and fighting. And there's a couple of mods that you can get like ammo while you're in the air, it costs less and that kind of stuff. So some of those are cool, but it was like some of the like 12% stuff, you know what I mean? Like the percent was just like, I mean, it's kind of annoying because you always have to go in to delete them.
Yeah,
that I found infuriating.
I like picking stuff up, and then all of a sudden I got your mod is full, and I'm like, really? You're gonna make me go clear this out? Because one, I have to pick everything up.
Right.
It kind of bugged me. I couldn't pick up all the health things, but whatever.
Yeah. So Nick, what's your favorite part of the game so far?
Well, I want to mention one thing that is both my favorite and least favorite thing about the game.
Okay.
Another audio thing that's just super well done and cool combined with the visuals is the little like negative space spasmatron blob things, like whatever the hell that is. That's just like freaking the F out all day long. The sound that those like that at least the game is making when you're around those things is awesome. Yeah. They are too freaky because they're just this like uncontrollable vortex of just matter.
Right.
I think I was reading about what it is, like not dark matter. There's some sort of it's in the files, but it's some sort of whatever that thing is, and they also are just like scary because the way they like move toward you, and it's kind of erratic too. Because like the first one you encounter when you're trying to lure it into the little room to close it in there, you want to lure it and like perfectly time your exit there, but it's erratic how it behaves in the first place. So
that I thought those things were really several minutes to figure out what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, this thing's not dying.
Well, that's back to your question or point about, not explaining things in that game. And that was like one of the first instances of having to put the power blocks or whatever on the wall. And then in that one, you need two of them to light up the one switch.
Yeah.
Right. So and then obviously like the quarry where a bunch of those things spawned afterwards. So we figure out a way to stop those black. I just shoot them and it slows them down.
You just gotta kind of run away.
Yeah, I think they're made to not be able to kill. I just always try to avoid them, and it seemed to work for me the best. They're kind of scarce throughout the game, I felt. Yeah. But they're in some annoying areas that I wanted to explore, but that thing's like right on your butt as soon as you land on the ground. But I don't think I don't even know if shooting it slowed it down. Is that
it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it did, because it at least shrinks it, and then if it's still moving, it's at least not making as much forward movement because it's so much smaller. I felt that way, at least. I don't know. It was a moment of panic.
No, for sure. And I like that they have something that at least at this point is like unkillable that you just got to kind of figure out a way to get away from. 8 chimes in, says, that astral spike is the only enemy besides the main one in AWE that made me truly nervous. I'm assuming the astral spike is what we're talking about. The black hole thingy. Okay.
So and the other one he's talking about is from Alan Wake, and that thing, I mean, that might be one of the most horrifying creatures I've ever seen in a game. This thing, and it's kind of because the entire, I can't remember what the sector. I think it's investigation sector for AWE. It's all pitch black because this thing is from Alan Wake, and Alan Wake had a thing with, that's how you killed enemies was with a flashlight or shining some sort of light on them. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. So they got this boss from Alan Wake and contained it in the investigation, or it broke out and kind of took over the investigation sector. So the whole map is pitch black down there because he's living in the dark. He can't go in the light anywhere. So you're kind of exploring this awesome new area of the Bureau, and it's pitch black and you got to turn the lights on. It's super eerie, but that thing is horrifying. It's like, it's like 10 feet tall, and it's so, I'll send you guys a picture when we're done here. It's absolutely horrifying.
Nice. That sounds amazing. I really want to give Alan Wake a try for sure.
I'm not sure if it holds up today. It's been, it was a 360 game. That's when I played it. But right on. I'd like to go back and play it too, because I do remember out of all the Xbox games I've ever played, really liking Alan Wake.
Well, if it goes on a large enough sale on Steam, anything can hold up for $2.
Yeah, that's what I got. I think I got Quantum Break for like $7. It was on sale right when I started Control. It was like perfect timing.
Yeah, I don't know if BioCiv is still listening or watching, but he is the reason I've made several Steam purchases in the last several months. But he always seems to be playing a game, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about this, or oh yeah, I always wanted to play this, and then I'll look it up on Steam, and it's always on a ridiculous sale.
Right.
When he was playing, I think it was the Tomb Raider Shadows of whatever, that Tomb Raider game. I was like, oh yeah, I have the first Tomb Raider. I'm enjoying what I'm watching Bio play. Let's go add it to my wish list on Steam. And it was like $5. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to buy it. And then he turned on BioShock. I've never played the BioShock games. Went and looked it up on Steam and was able to get the entire collection for $11.
Oh man.
Still haven't opened it, but I got it for $11. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right. I've never played those games, and I've always wanted to. I heard they're awesome. Same with Mass Effect. I never played any of the Mass Effect games either.
I keep blaming you because it's true. You are the reason I am in my financial position, Biosiv, which is at least $25 to $30 down in games over the last several months.
Which is more than Mike usually spends in an entire year.
That is more than I spent on. That's not true because I spend quite a bit of money on League of Legends, even though it's a free game, which I don't want to talk about anymore.
Yeah, right.
There's a way you can look at your Riot account, how much you spent.
How much you spent the whole time? Oh well. Tell us. You got to tell it. You just got to tell us.
I haven't looked in a while, but when I did, it was hundreds of dollars on a free game.
Goodness.
But
oh my goodness.
In my defense, that was over 5 years of playing this game.
So is it just, are they just microtransactions, outfits and stuff?
Yep, just cosmetic stuff. $10 here, $10 there.
Yeah, I totally get that though, because I'm gonna cut away from Control here for a second and talk about Returnal, the game I'm reviewing. It only has one suit unless you got the deluxe edition, and then has 3 suits, and that infuriates me. I love dressing my character up. That's one of my favorite things. Yeah. So it's how do you make a game in 2021 and if you don't if you didn't get there's one suit? That's insane. That makes no sense whatsoever. So that stuff infuriates me. So I can totally see why you spent money on dressing your
well, plus, I don't know. I like to support projects that I enjoy, and not that Riot and League of Legends needs little old Mike from Canton, Ohio's support to survive, being the small indie company that they are. I didn't pay for the game. It's free. So, I'll throw $10-$20, every, 3-4 months, maybe buy a new skin or two. But yeah, anyways,
early in Control though, I did find a style thing. There's different outfits in Control. Has anyone unlocked any of these?
I think it's after you beat the game, you probably get one.
Yeah.
So they're kind of they're a little annoyingly towards the end of the game. So you get one, maybe 2 at the end of the game. You get another one for completing all the janitor's side missions.
That makes sense.
You get one for doing that mirror mission that I was talking about. And then I had one that was a pre-order bonus. And then there's another one that is in the luck and probability sector. Did you guys get to that area?
Yeah.
So it's like a puzzle you have to do in that area, and you get an outfit out of that. And then I think once you meet Dylan, you get his prison looking outfit. But yeah, they're you'll be wearing the same, especially if you didn't pre-order the game or get the deluxe version that came with that suit. The Ultimate Edition, I had the regular suit on for literally 3/4 of the game. I was like, my gosh, this is so annoying.
Yeah.
Nice. 8 says, if you haven't played Outer Wilds, do yourself a favor and don't read anything about it and pick it up when it's when in sale. Really unique game and one of the best examples of not holding your hand in a game I've seen. Words are hard. I struggled reading that because I can't speak sometimes.
Yeah, I've actually never heard of that game, but it's got really good reviews. 10 out of 10 on Steam. 95% like this game. Huh? I never
10
heard
out
of
of 10 would recommend. Thank you for the recommendation. Outer Wilds. We'll have to add that to the wish list. But Chad, don't look up anything about it. Just buy it and play.
Yes.
Just buy it.
Then Bio says she looks like a Padawan with one outfit.
Yeah. Yep.
Could see that.
That's exactly it. But the first time I played it, the pre-order outfit is very X-Men superhero looking. It's called the Astral Dive suit. So I rocked that thing the entire time because I thought her little jeans and jacket were kind of lame.
Yeah. So my favorite thing of Control so far, outside of the ARG similarities between things I like to watch on YouTube and what you encounter in this game, with the Threshold Kids and the Darling videos and all that stuff, actually is the combat mechanics. Like I really feel like I love how the combat, at least the way I play it, is very fast paced. Like I'm dashing around, I'm like, unloading my clip, and then while it's recharging, I'm like throwing stuff at people, and I don't know, it's just it's such a counter to the rest of the gameplay, which is pretty slow paced, and you're walking around reading stuff, doing a puzzle here or there, talking with the NPCs. And then you get into the combat and it's just like you're zooming around, like shooting a bunch of people, throwing everything that you can pick up at everything that's coming at you. The combat's just been super fun. I enjoy the different weapon types. But I agree with you guys and 8 about the mods being pretty much pointless. I really like the spin version of the gun. I think it's really cool. I don't know what the rocket version that has like 2 bullets. It's kind of like a rocket. Pierce. Yeah, that one was okay. The grip is the standard like revolver type, right? The single shot.
Right, single shot. Yeah.
That the like revolver pistol is like very, very satisfying to use. And then the what's the shotgun one, like shatter or scatter?
Yeah. Shatter.
Yeah, that one's okay. I would say grip and spin are my favorite.
I felt like spin was just didn't do quite enough damage. I felt, and that might have been because that might be the issue. It's kind of, and I typically, the first thing in a fight in that game is I try to get as far away from the enemies as I can and up in the air so I can throw stuff at them. So it never really worked for me because of probably my distance from the enemies. But grip was always my my kind of go-to. I don't think that I ever really even dabbled with shatter or pierce. I think I got them, and I was like, the one is like a charge, like you have to hold it down, and I can't stand that in games. So
pierce definitely my least favorite. I only tinkered with when I unlocked it, and shatter I use occasionally, but it's mainly grip and spin. I love the fact that you can grab anything, and if there's nothing by you, she'll just like rip a chunk of
the wall,
the floor, or the wall. Yeah,
and it stays gone too. Which I love. That's great.
And I also love if you grab something that's behind an enemy, and as it's floating to you, it hits them, and like, so you can get like a little double whammy where you hit them on the way to you, and then just quickly release, and you just like hit them again, and they're dead.
Yeah, that's like that's like one of the funnest moves to pull off in the game. But I don't know exactly how far of an upgrade it is, but you can eventually get the ability to pull in low health enemies and throw them. So I don't know if you guys got that yet, but I used to love ending a fight with grabbing one of them and just holding them there, like, and then just drop. If you hit square, you just drop them. It's just so cool.
I got that. I just unlocked the ability to do that to larger enemies when they're low health. But I also like how you can like possess low health enemies and have them fight for you. I think is pretty cool. You can like grab the grenades and stuff that are thrown at you and throw them back. The combat is just really cool, and I think kind of overlooked because of the style of game it is. I mean, even though it's like an action-y type game, I feel like the weirdness and creepiness of the story and the environment kind of gets more attention than the combat mechanics, but the combat is really cool.
Yeah, I think they play really well against each other. You have like the slower exploring area, and then the really super fast-paced, action-packed fight sequences. So I think the way they did it was awesome. And like I said, when I told my favorite, I think the gameplay is like absolutely top-notch. So I agree.
And it's like a great combination of like a shooter and then also being a Jedi.
Right.
Coming off the back of just beating Fallen Order. It's very satisfying.
Well, it's interesting that, I mean, not that I noticed, but in the story, they don't really acknowledge, or Jessie doesn't seem to be very aware of how badass she is when you fight, right? Like the extreme where you're just like walking around, talking to people, exploring, and then all of a sudden like combat time, and she's basically a Jedi or an X-Men or just ripping the place apart.
Yeah.
And then the fight's over, the music dies down, and you look around and you're like,
what have I done?
Chunks of the walls are missing, the floor is destroyed, everything's ruined. I'm just gonna keep walking.
Yeah. Man, the repair bills for the oldest house must be through the roof.
That's why the janitor's so like kind of grumpy. Like.
Yeah, right. He's got all this. He's got all this mess to clean up.
Yeah. I also love
just
the fact
flying through, blowing everything apart.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that nobody questions that she's the director. They're just like, you're the new director. Okay.
Glad you're here. Welcome aboard.
Let me tell you all the secrets.
Yeah. I think the reason
Can I write tests on you?
Yeah. I think the reason that it's like that is because the board like assigns the director. So it's like they don't have a say in it. So they're just like, okay. But I did find it kind of weird that the main, is it like the executive area where Pope is and where you can change your outfits and all that stuff? You can't use any of your powers in there, like even the dash or the levitate or anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's ever explained in the story if she's like hiding her powers from all the people,
right?
Or if it's just a loading thing.
Be careful out there.
There are a few like dialogue parts where she's like talking to herself or Polaris, where they're like, should we let especially with Pope, like in the beginning, like should we let her know about this?
Trust her.
Yeah, so I wonder if like she is talking more about the reason she's there to find Dylan, because then eventually she does talk about that, but maybe she is alluding to like her abilities.
You fight alongside agents though. Like
that's true.
Right.
It is visible to everyone.
True, yeah. Yeah, especially like later in Foundation, you can like call an agent to you in certain spots to come fight. So that makes sense. But it always seemed like where the main group of people are, you can't use your abilities. So whether it's the executive sector, there's like a area down in the mold area that has a bunch of control agents down there that you can't use your dash in there either. So I found it kind of weird.
8 says, grip and throwing the corpses of your fallen control co-workers to the hiss was my preferred setup.
Yeah.
This is the way. Ruthless, but hey, I mean, got to use them for something, right?
Right.
Yeah, the throw is great. I'm glad that is a part of this game. But yeah, I guess it's time for us to give our recommendation. Do you guys have anything else you want to get off your chest before we kind of wrap up here and give our recommendations?
All right. I don't think so.
No, you good, Nick?
I think I'm good.
Okay. So Show Boys recommendation time. I say, give it a shot if you can find it. I don't think it's that expensive. Again, it was given to me for free, so I don't know whether it's relatively cheap without being on sale. But definitely, if you can pick this up on sale, I think it's a great game. It came out 2 years ago, but feels like it could have came out yesterday. Gameplay, graphically, if you're into strange, weird, somewhat creepy stories and environments, this is a game that I think you would really enjoy. It's very intriguing and mysterious and requires you to actually immerse yourself in the stories and the way the mechanics they use to tell the story, being with the audio files, the video files, and the text files. If you want to get the most out of this game, you're going to want to dive into those aspects for sure. And if you like this and you haven't played their other games, Alan Wake and Quantum Break, sounds like, those games are right up the alley of Control. So if you can stomach going back and playing some older games, sounds like those might even be an option for you too. So for me, I recommend, let's go over to you, Nick. What do you say?
Definitely recommend it, but with just like, the words of caution, as we've kind of touched on here, and as our boy 8 here has said, if you are not going to read or attempt to read, it's probably just worth passing. Just because a lot's going to be lost on you, even though, like you said, Mike, the combat is great and the general, just the environments are really awesome. It's a fun game for sure. And has just a really good level of playability to it. But I just think that if you're like, I even kind of want to play the other stuff too, just a little bit, to kind of try and like peel back the veil on like what is going on here. But if you're not gonna give it that level of detail and commitment, it might fall flat for some people. So I would say that would just be a word of caution to carry with this strong recommendation, but it has a niche.
Yeah, you have to commit. You have to fully commit it to
Call of Duty.
Yeah, no. Definitely have to commit to the immersion and really roll up your sleeves and get your reading glasses out and open up those files.
Right. It's not Fortnite.
That's true. True. What about you, Chad?
Yeah, it's going to be a strong recommendation for me too, and I'm going to lean with what both of you said. If you like X-Files or Twin Peaks or any of those really kind of secret government agent kind of things, I think you'll love this game. But like Nick said, if you're not going to fully dive into it, if it's going to be something you play, in between Call of Duty matches, probably wouldn't recommend it. But I think that if you give it the time, and I would imagine you could get it pretty cheap now because it came out in 2019. So I think it for me at least, it was well worth $60. I got like 30 something hours out of it, which is a lot more than most games give you nowadays. So it's definitely got its kind of quirkiness to it with the way you have to play it and read documents, and that can kind of turn people off for sure. But I'm excited from Remedy starting at Max Payne to where they're at now. I think that this is an awesome progression of their games. So I'm excited to see what they come up with next. So it's a strong recommendation for me.
I love the first Max Payne game. Oh, yeah, it's such a fun game.
Every now and then I go on YouTube and put on the cutscenes from that game. They're absolutely like so. Like they're kind of cheesy, but they're kind of awesome at the same time.
That was also one of the video game movies that was so disappointing in my heart. Like I wanted that to be such a good movie, but it was so not a good movie.
It's just like it just makes no sense to me because they pick the weird, like Mortal Kombat. That's the worst video game to pick to make a movie because the story is absurd in the games. And then when they make it into a movie, people are like, what is this? It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, and I don't want to watch people fight as these characters. I want to fight as these characters.
Right.
That's the premise of the game.
Yeah. It's like they pick Mortal Kombat, Super Mario Brothers to make movies out. Like these are not the games we should be making movies out of.
Yeah. Oh, that was a terrible one too. Yeah. Oh God. That live action Mario movie was
absolutely horrendous. I mean, Mario, if you're gonna make that's best like as a kid's cartoon or something like that, Was
that 80s or 90s?
I think maybe early 90s.
Early 90s.
Yeah. I'd say. Toss up.
Yeah. But Remedy, if you're listening to this, reach out to the Show Boys and we'll pitch you a nice little Control series. Maybe you can pitch to Netflix.
There you go.
Or something.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime.
Prime, let's go with Prime because Prime needs some more heavy hitter on the catalog. But yeah, I mean, I'm not even going to ask for much. Maybe 20-25%. That's all. Right. The rest is yours. But yeah, so recommendations all around with the caveat of you gotta commit to reading and watching and listening to the files to really get the full like the most out of this game and the story. But yeah, I don't think we had this would usually be our listener comments section. Let me scroll over to the old Discord. I don't think we had many. We had our Jefe de Stonks. He says, guess I got to download Control now. Geez, thanks a lot. Yeah, you gotta download it, bro. And then you got to come back to Valheim and check out the canal.
Oh my gosh, this guy in the canal, man.
The canal
it's a sight to behold, bro.
They are.
I guess we could live stream it. Well,
there you go.
Hey, that's hey, funny you mentioned that. I'm gonna try to start streaming Valheim on BioCiv's request. He said he would enjoy watching it, so I'm gonna have to do that for my boy.
It's peaceful.
There you go.
It is. Limes 3 and 4 says I have not played Control because you gave it to me. Duh. I could have told you haven't played Control. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he bought it. Turned around and bought it after he gifted it to you.
Yeah, he says I have not played Control and look forward to the spoilers, living out my gaming to-do list through you guys. Well, thank you. Sorry that you have to wait a month between episodes to have your gaming life lived out. But we appreciate the comments, guys. As always, every week for every episode, whether it's what's playing or what's watching, a companion series, or even the newscast. If you have something to say, jump in our Discord. We post the topic of the week in our Answer the Boys channel and read your comments. And a lot of times they spawn some really good discussions. One of our episodes, I believe it was a What's Playing, was fueled entirely on Discord listener comments, and that episode was like 2 hours long. It was great. We literally just read through your questions and answered them, talked about all the things you guys were talking about, and it was super fun. But yeah, with that being said, Chad, do you have anything you'd like to plug before we wrap up the episode here?
Stay tuned to thatstrange.net because we're coming back here in a week for our 4th season, and stay tuned to Downright Creepy for my Returnal review, which will hopefully be up by the beginning of next week.
Returnal review. That is a tongue twister. I think.
Was, but I nailed it. I think.
You did. Correct. Yeah. So do you have any, spoilers on what we might hear in season 4? Right? Is it season 4 or 3?
4.
Yeah, it's 4. No.
Nope.
You're gonna have to wait.
Wow. Okay, I can do that. I guess I have no choice. Yeah, Nick, you got anything you want to plug? You got anything you're doing? Maybe a certain night of the week that's not Thursday.
Just every Sunday, tune in 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking about The Bad Batch on Disney Plus. Go ahead and watch it. It's the latest Star Wars canon story that you can get. It's already setting itself up to just weave that Filoni magic continuously, through Star Wars. It's obviously animated, if that's a turn off for anybody or a turn on, whichever it might be. But it's great. It's a good time. Tune in. We'll be doing this all summer, all 14 episodes. I'm pretty sure we're 2 down, so
yeah,
1 less week, I guess. But it'll be a good time.
And let me tell you, Nick is a savant when it comes to Star Wars. So if you want some real in-depth analysis of Star Wars characters and stories and the Bad Batch episodes, obviously that's what they're covering. Tune in because he has a lot of good perspectives and things that he talks about. So make sure you tune in 9 p.m. Sunday nights, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, hopefully Theta soon. But yeah, everything else Showboys you can find at linktr.ee/showboyspodcast. This, yesterday was Wednesday. Our 9th episode of the newscast came out. If you haven't been tuning into those episodes, it's a nice, started out to be, shorter versions of Showboys, but they're kind of creeping up in length. We're going to try to keep it a little bit shorter. But a good way to stay, up to date with the news and the rumors going on in the film and gaming industries. Those have been really fun to do on our end. And
so our bi-weekly update or bi-monthly update.
Yeah, they've been real fun to do, and hopefully they've been useful to you guys to, kind of stay in the loop of what, might be coming down the pipeline. we're here every Thursday night at 9 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, talking about anything film and gaming related. Other than that, I don't have anything else other than jump in our Discord. That's the best way you're going to be able to interact with us, the Show Boys, and our listeners, your fellow listeners. We have tons of really fun and sometimes deep conversations in there about just about any topic you could think of. You can find our good friends, the Be Hero Fights guys. They have a little section in our Discord too. They're always, drumming up good conversations. It's the place to be, and it's fun, and you should join it. So other than that, thank you so much for tuning in. 8 Biosiv, thank you for chiming in the comments. It's a pleasure that you guys were here listening and watching and conversing with us. For everyone else, thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen or watch our podcast. Until next time, we will see you later. Have a good evening.